Okay, welcome back to this channel. As you know from my previous video, SAP has officially released the ABAP development tools for visuals. You can check the installation in the previous video. The link is in the description. And the Visual Studio Code means that one editor that gives you access to back-end ABAP and front-end Fiori all together. So we already installed it, and in this video we are going to look at a real project. All right, so we are going to build and test every feature. And likewise, in the last video we were not able to log in with password, but after the last video, SAP has actually released or updated the version, so there's now a new release. So let's go to Eclipse and I'll show you this. So when you go to Eclipse extension and you look for ABAP development tools, so right here, if you notice in the last video we installed version 1.0.0. to see here, it was updated 2 days ago. We now have 1.0.1. so this latest version gives you the ability to log in. If you have already a backend system on your computer, on your machine, you can be able to log in with password. So I will show you briefly. So this is already installed, so if you have not yet installed this, you can install. And so let's go to right here. Remember how to create a destination. So to create a destination, you can just look for ABAP, you put the arrow sign, and then see here, right here, ABAP new destination. So to create a destination, we have two options. We can use the RFC, private cloud on-premise system. So if you have on-premise system, this can work, and also via cloud application. So before now, to connect, or let me say in the previous video where we looked at the version 1.0.0, if you select on the on-premise, you can only connect via single sign-on, but then now you can connect via password. So if I click on RFC private cloud, you can see that the server that I have on my backend is automatically displayed here. All right, so I can just select this and I will enter my username for my system. Okay, I'm going to pause this. So after I enter your username, you are going to click on enter. Then after I click on enter, you're asked to enter your client number. So for me, it's client 100. Then click on enter one more time. You're asked to select the language, enter, and then so you select the ID and you continue. All right. So right now, the destination have been created. So what you need to do is to add the destination to your workspace. So let's go right here and then select add destination as folder to workspace. So this was the cloud project we created in the first video. So here you can select this. And so this is the ID that I have, and you could see that the destination is being added to the workspace. And the next thing we need to do is that we need to right click on the destination and then log on to the destination. Then you can enter your password and click enter. So you can see right here, login on to system A4H100. Okay, so now you see that we are logged onto the system. So now it's easy as that. You can now log in by password and not just with SSO or only to cloud projects. So if you expand this, you can see your system library. All right, so you can check your system library here, look for your packages here. So this is one of my package, ZV5, and then you can open your source code. Okay, so now we are going to look at a project. We're going to do a project, but one interesting thing about the VS Code so far, maybe in the next release there will be an update. We cannot create packages in VS Code at the moment. So if you want to create a package, you need to go to Eclipse or you need to go to SEAT and then create the package. So here we have the demo project that we'll be doing, currency converter, and then we'll try to check the features that are available. So we have the exchange rates provider. So it provides exchange rate. We have methods there. It gets the rate, source and the target, and then returns a value, which is decimal float 16. And of course, it raises an exception. There's an exception there. And this is our exchange rate provider uses currency converter. Currency converter converts currency amounts. So when you pass in amount, the source and the target, it converts it and then returns a decimal float. Okay, and it also uses rate provider, which is injected. So basically in our demo project, we need to use a package. We create the provider class. We look at how the completion works, the hover, the formatter works. Then the converter class also, we can see how the navigation works in VS Code, ADT, the references, and we also do unit tests, unit test integration. We'll see how that also works out. Check out how the debugger works. We do ATC checks and the transport management and so. Okay, so if you are still here, now let's jump into the code. Before you go, are you new to my channel? Please hit the subscribe button. Subscribe to this channel. We are just 300 subscribers away from 1000. Please support my channel by subscribing, and also if you're interested in the continuation, and thank you. Okay, now so to build this, we are going to create a class. So we're going to create the exchange rate provider class. So you can do this in two ways. Let's see. Yeah. So unfortunately, it's not possible for you to right click on a package and then say create classes or whatever. But here you can run tests with coverage here. So, but if you want to create a class, remember our package, you can just go to the search terminal here, put the arrow button. If you put ABAP, it will give you all the things you can be able to do with ABAP. So we are interested in creating a class. So you can say create new ABAP project. You can select class since we want to create a class. So let's give it a name. No, first we need to select the package, right? So the package I want to use is the one on the left. So we have package Z, right? So this is the one I want to use. Double click, then it says press enter to confirm your input or escape. So what is the name of our class? The name of our class, call it ZCL exchange rate provider. So you can click on enter and then give it a description. Provides exchange rates between currency pairs. Then let's enter. So ABAP class properties, let's just select one. I think if you are not sure, actually you can press enter to escape. If you are not sure of what option to select, just click on enter and then say create a new transport request. Remember, we say we are going to look at how to create transport requests. So I have existing transport requests here, you can see. So if you already have transport requests in your system, you can select them. But let's try to create a new transport request. So enter description for your transport request. What we are going to say, exchange rates between currency pairs, exchange rate. Then you click on enter and you see creating object. We see here that a new transport request was actually created. Remember that, and here you see ABAP class exchange rate provider is created. So this is our class. I'm going to remove this because this is not what I wanted. You know, I selected one class type. So let's remove this. So we have our public, final, create public section, and then the implementation. So let's give in some input code here. You already know how to create classes from our previous video. So let's first and foremost create a structure. So a structure we define in types. You see auto completion here. You can see begin of TY exchange rate from currency to currency rate. So I'm looking for something like this actually. So you can see here, say accept word. All right, so you can click on this one to see other options that are available. So there are three options: auto suggestions, code completions that is being provided to you. This is one benefit of using VS Code, Visual Studio Code, and this is even without any AI assistant. So this is what we get. All right, so I will go with this begin of TY exchange rates. So the structure is created for me, but I'm going to change the variables a little. So from currency here, for me, I will put source, and of course it's not a string. Have source of character C with length 3, and here I will say target type, likewise character with length 3, and then the rate will be a decimal float 16. So if we save this, so now because I want the document to format, let's right click and say format document with, let me select ABAP Development Tools for VS Code, right? So that my formatter is now activated. Okay, remember I told you one of the features available also is that you can format your code. And then, so from our structure, we can actually define a table type. So we can say table type underscore rates. You see, we still have auto completion type, standard table type of TY exchange rate with default key. If I click on tab, all this comes out. Also created a method TT rate is unexpected. Why? So our key, I want to use it instead of default. I'm going to say I'm going to say the key will be the source and target. Let's remove this. Okay. Oh, so also I can configure default formatter. So if you click on format document with, you can say configure default formatter, and then we select this as our default formatter. So when you say format document, Shift Alt F, it automatically formats it for us. Okay, so we have our table type, we have our structure, and what next? We are going to provide our methods. So we have two methods. So you see it's giving me suggestions. So I'm going to have a method here. So I accept it, but the method name will not be get exchange rate. It will be, yeah, I think get exchange rate should work. And we don't have returning, but we have importing. So let's say IDate type, not IDate now, but we're going to import the source, iSource. So instead of having IV, just remove the V, the extra character is not needed. iSource type of C, because our C is right. Then also define the target, I underscore target, auto completion. And then, so we have a returning values, we can say R underscore rate, which is a type of this table type. We're going to return a table type, and we raise an exception. So it gives us a suggestion, but we can edit the exception that it gave us. So we can say CX parameter, invalid parameter. Parameter is invalid, so you can see the suggestion. So now if you hover over this, one of the features is also to hover, so you can see the error implementation missing for method get exchange rates. So get exchange rate, importing iSource type C, iTarget type C, returning value iRate type of this class, and then we are raising this exception so that if there is an error, our exception will handle it. Before we do the implementation, or maybe we can use Control I, which is a fix or quick fix. So Control plus full stop. So let me do Control plus dot. So you can say fix, explain, but let's say fix. So if you click on the fix, resolving the problem, generate code. So what did it do? It created the implementation for us. ZCL exchange rate implementation method get exchange rates. So of course, this is not what we want yet, but we can just keep it at that. And right here, you can select keep, or from here, close this right here. Let's see one more time what we have. Quick fix and what of fix. Same thing. Okay. So you can say keep, and that is fixed. So of course, this is not the code we want. We'll change it and let's see. So the implementation of the exchange rate provider is a bit different from what we have here. So I just wanted to show you how it can suggest for you. Okay, it's suggesting for that things. Say validate input parameters if iSource is initial or iTarget is initial, raise exception, exporting text, source and target currencies must be provided, simulate fetching exchange rates, replace with actual logics, R rate equals to value, table type rates. So this is just suggestions for you. So if this is what you want, you can use it, but I'll write the method for the get exchange rates that I want to use. So I've erased this method that we have, and this is a method that we'll be using for our exchange rate. So in the exchange rate, we do what's called lazy loading on the first call. So we check if the empty rate. So I need to create a private attribute for this. If I right click on this, does we have anything? No. Refactor, no. Fix, maybe. Clone fix. So you have to wait for the fix because we need to create this member variable empty rate. So when you click on the fix, actually try to fix the whole error that we have at the same time. So the empty variable is now created, member variable. So we have empty rate types of the table type, and then the method load rate is also created for us as a private variable. Okay, see now, interesting, because right here I have the IV source, but because in my declaration of sources, right here I use I, so it's trying to follow my pattern that I used, right? That's quite interesting. And then also it corrected the naming convention here, and also right here it removes the V from the R return rate. That is interesting. And then method load rate also created the implementation. So I like this, so I'll just click on keep and keep this one too, keep this one too, keep this one too, keep this one, keep, and that is for that part quite good. I'm impressed actually. So you might not really get this with Eclipse. Alright, so in our method, in the load rate, we are going to just load some exchange rates right here. Let's load some exchange rates right here. So you see, I get auto completion, empty rate is equal to value, TT rate, and then we pass in source, USD, target, euros, the rate. We put a rate for the conversion, add more rate as well. So I'll click on tab because this is actually what I need. But of course, the rate is not exactly what I had in mind, but we can work with this. So I want to add more rates. Are you going to give me auto? No more suggestion. Okay, so what if I put this one? Are you going to give me suggestion? Yeah. All right. So it's repeating itself. So I'm going to put in more currencies here. I have USD to euros, USD, euro to USD, USD to Japan, Japan to USD, euro to Japan. So let me just, I need more. Click on tab, right, rate, what should be the rate? Yeah, just some suggestion. Click on tab, I need more, right? You click on tab, I need more. Yeah, I think this should be enough. So this is our rate. I'm still here to find the shortcut for the format. So if you know it, kindly leave it in the comment section. When you right click on the whole document, you can just say format. Okay, let's say format document with ABAP development tools. Okay, it's already formatted. Yeah, so let's save this. So we have created the exchange rate provider class. So we have a method called getRate source and then the target. It returns a decimal float and then an exception. So we need to create this currency converter now. So it's going to convert currency amounts. We have the method convert, and the amount you pass in, the source you pass in, the target you pass in, and then it returns decimal float 16, and it will use our rate provider. So let's get back to VS Code. All right, so similarly, we're going to create the second class. So we can go to the workspace, search terminal right here and say ABAP, create new ABAP objects. We are interested in class creation, and then we need to enter a package name, which is ZV5. Then we need to enter the name of the class that we are interested in. So we can call it ZCL underscore currency underscore converter. Yeah, so we can click on enter, and then the description. So the description is to convert amount between two currencies using their exchange rates. So we can then click on enter. type of the class. If you don't know the type here, you can just click on enter to skip. Type of search, yeah, you can look up what this type of search does, but I will just skip for now. Then click on enter and the class has been created. Okay, we don't have to create a transport request. We can see right here the transport request we created in previous video. So we can just select the transport request, and now we see that our ABAP class ZCL currency converter is created successfully. Similarly, we have our file structure, public, final, create public. So in our public section, we create our methods. So our method of interest right here. So for this, we are going to have a constructor because we are passing in. So right here you see some suggestion for me: methods constructor, importing the currency, the target, and the amount. So I don't need this v as extra literal for my variable. So here we have been using isource, then itarget. So we were using type of character, and then also type of character as a target. And of course, for the amount, we use a type called decfloat. Let's see if autocomplete works. So you see here, just type shift control space, and then you can select, you can have auto completion. And yeah, so the methods convert currency. So method constructor is not yet complete. So for sometimes, yeah, when you use autocomplete, you just get codes that you don't need. All right, and so let's say importing. You don't have to raise an error in our constructor. So importing, say IO. So this will import or inject the provider class, and it will be a type reference to ZCL underscore currency provider 99 ZCL currency provider class. No, this one, ZCL underscore exchange underscore rate provider class. And also it can be optional, so it's not mandatory. Type reference to. What errors we have again? Method constructor implementation is missing, so we can do a quick fix. I don't need you to explain, just fix, because we need an implementation for the constructor. So says cannot locate files to edit. Let's close this. So we can just go ahead to create an implementation for method constructor, and immediately I went there, it gave me suggestion, which is too much. So you can just go through and see which one you want to select. We'll still even erase them just as a placeholder. So let's go with this methods constructor and method. Let's remove this from here. Sometimes this auto completions can be very annoying. So in our method constructor, we do dependency injection. The caller can provide a custom provider, or we can use a default one. So what we now do, we say if IO underscore provider is not bound. Sometimes I don't want everything, but you keep giving me everything. So let's close the context first. And if IO provider is not bound, what is going to happen? We are going to say the member variable mo provider is equal to IO. Sorry, I'm supposed to say is bound. Yeah. So if the instance has already been created, we can just pass in that instance here. Else, what will happen is that we instantiate a default provider. So we can say mo underscore provider is equal to new ZCL exchange rate provider. So this is giving me errors because I have not yet defined the mo provider. So I need to go to the private section. With the private section right here and define this. Okay, but then our convert currency is still having we don't yet have implementation for that. So if I right click and say fix, so here it's added a period here. So let's keep, and it just gave us some sample implementation. So let's keep, and then I can make adjustments. So here is just some formatting. So let's keep. What else? Methods, constructor, what did you do here? Maybe some formatting also, remove space. So where is our converter class? Convert class, this one, convert currency rather, the implementation. So what do we want to do inside? So we are going to remove this because this is not the functionality for our convert class that we want. So we're going to create a guard clause, right? And that guard will say that amount must be positive. And see, immediately I gave a guard clause, the code suggestions changes. Now see, amount must be positive if I amount underscore 0. Okay, so I just need, let's see, accept word. Okay, so if you click on accept word, you only get the line, but if you click on tab, you get everything. Control plus right arrow. Okay, that's good to know. All right, so now we're going to say if our amount, control right arrow, is less than 0, raise an exception type. I want this also, of CX parameter invalid, and then we're going to have an exporting parameter, so I can call this either text or let's say parameter is equal to just some text. So that was a guard clause. So now let's get the exchange rate. Okay, so get the exchange rate. So we declare a variable, can say data, let's call it exchange rate underscore rate. So because I clicked on tab, everything came out. So let me go back. I don't want the whole suggestion, so I can just click on control and then the right arrow. So data exchange rate is equal to MO, member variable, member object. Do I need the O? So all right, let me put the O and then I refactor by renaming, and let's see how the renaming works in Eclipse. So MO provider, what's the method I want to call on? Get underscore exchange rate. So what does it take in? It takes in the iSource and the iTarget. So click on tab to complete this, and then all we need to do next is to perform the conversion. Click on tab to get this comment, and of course the result is equal to I amount times the exchange rate. Click on tab to get it. Get exchange rate. So what do we have here? Does not exist. There's however a method with a similar name, get exchange rates. So let's put S. Okay, need to correct this also. Get exchange rates. Rate cannot be converted into a number. F3, let's do. So because I have some conversion error, so we have decimal converts what we get here to decimal float, the exchange rate, because there were type conversion issues or mismatch. So let's accept this. So what do you have here? The result type, a functional method cannot be converted into the type of exchange rate. So let's try to fix it. But what of this error? What is here? Formal parameter text. Okay, we cannot use text here. Parameter text ID has a similar name. So exporting text message, no, text ID. Okay, so text ID. So let's fix this one. Let's do another quick fix. So let's do another quick fix. So data exchange rate, MO provider, get exchange rates. What did we change here? So we are converting also here and here. Still we got errors. Yeah, so we get this error, exchange rate cannot be converted to a number. Actually, the exchange rate is an internal table. It returns an internal table. Here you can see returning value is a table type. So we need to correct this. Unfortunately, the quick fix cannot help us. All right, so we adjusted the code a little because we're getting that error. So it's returning a table type. So we have to check those table type, content of it. All right, so up next, we'll look at the unit test before we test our class. Okay, so we'll stop here at this point. And then in the next part, we are going to see how to also connect our Visual Studio Code and ABAP development tools to MCP server and also complete our project. So if you are interested and you are not yet subscribed, kindly subscribe and follow me for the next update. Thank you.